Hey, William Miller here, author of Nobleman. I'm continuing with my series on the craft of writing. First couple of videos we talked about reading a lot and writing a lot. You've made a commitment to reading every day and you're writing 1,000 words a day. And then we talked a little bit about ideas, and just to recap, I like to keep my ideas super simple. One sentence. You should be able to boil the plot of your story down into one sentence. Now that you're reading every day, you're writing every day, and you've got your story question, some people think it's time to write. They're ready. Let's go. And pen to paper or fingers to keys, however you do it. My advice would be to make a story outline first. Now, this is sort of a hot button issue for writers. Every writer will defend their stance to their dying breath. So just be aware of that. There are several pluses and minuses to both camps. Again, I use plot outlines, but there are a lot of really good authors who don't use plot outlines. On the side of authors who plot, there is Jim Butcher, author of the Dresden series. He's great. J.K. Rowling, author of the Harry Potter series. I'm fairly certain she uses plot outlines. There is James Patterson, best-selling novelist pretty much ever. The guy's sold roughly a gazillion books, so you could do worse than to follow in his footsteps. But in the other camp, you got guys like Stephen King. And in his book on writing, Stephen King said, I can't remember whether he was saying this himself or quoting another author. He said, writing a book is like driving at night. You can only see as far as the headlamps, but you can make the whole trip that way. So there's something to be said for both schools of thought on this. My suspicion, and I don't have any numbers to back this up, it's just my gut instinct, is that authors who write character-driven stories tend to just sort of fly by the seat of their pants. They get an idea and they go for it, they write it out, and at the end they've got something that's really, really good. And then authors who write more story-driven fiction, mystery authors and Robert Parker and people like that, tend to use plot outlines. I don't have any numbers again to back that up. It's just my guess. It's my hunch. And since I write mysteries, that's how I do it. I use a plot outline. The few times that I have not, the few times I've just kind of tried to wing it, what I ended up with in the end was pretty much a big mess, and no one would ever want to read it, and it got put into the bottom of a drawer somewhere. I kind of forgot about it. I'm going to give you 3 really good reasons to use a plot outline. The first is, if you take the time to make a plot outline, you're going to know where your story is going and whether or not you've got any huge glaring holes in your story. There's no worse feeling than writing out a 500-page novel, getting to the end, handing it to one of your trusted friends, and they read through it and they go, oh, but, and then they tell you about this huge error that you missed when you were writing out your first draft. If that happens, your only recourse, the only way to fix it, is to rewrite your entire 500-page novel. That's a lot of work. Okay? If you take the time to do a plot outline, you're not going to run into that sort of trouble. You can write out your plot outline and then read through it and then give your plot outline to a couple of friends. And that way you've had a couple of eyes take a look at it to spot any glaring plot structure flaws, any of those big holes that you could drive a train through. Somebody's going to spot it before you start actually writing the book. that's going to save you a lot of time and trouble in the long run. So that's the first reason I write plot outlines. The second reason I do plot outlines is because it allows me to examine all of the different courses that my story could take. You come to a place in your writing as you're writing a story where it could go in two different directions. If you just start and you write through your first draft without doing a plot outline, you can't explore both of those different paths. You're going to get to that fork in the road, and you're going to have to choose path A or path B, and then you're going to have to roll with it. You're going to have to stick with it, and whatever you got when you finish is what you have, whether you like it or not. If you write a plot outline, it's a very simple thing to write both paths. See where they go, and then decide which one is better. I do this often. It helps that I have done a lot of choose your own adventure books, because naturally I had to write a whole bunch of different story paths out. So I got a lot of experience doing that. But if you take the time to write a story outline and you reach one of those forks, write out both paths. Okay, my character did this. Okay, my character did that. And then explore where each of them goes. See which one you like better. Once you've written them both out, look at them, read through them. Which one is more believable, right? Which one is more enjoyable? And which one are you going to have a lot of fun writing? Which one are your readers going to have a lot of fun reading? Okay? You can't do that if you just go for it. But if you write a story outline, you can do that. You can take both paths, see which one works better for you. So that's the second reason why I am a huge fan of outlines. The third reason that I am a real believer in writing a story outline is because once I've got all my scenes written out, I can play with the timeline of my story. And by that I mean I write my story outlines in Microsoft OneNote, and in OneNote it's super easy to take a sentence or a paragraph and move it up, take a sentence or a paragraph and move it down. So as I'm reading through my, and you can do this with paper too, just, you know, if you write out all your scenes, cut the paper, lay them out on the floor, get an idea of the flow of your story, and then you can play with the timeline, right? You can ask questions and say, oh gosh, you know, what if this character died earlier, or this character died later, or what if the bomb went off before, right? What if I reveal the killer sooner? What if I reveal the killer later? You can just take your scene that you've done an outline on and move it up or down inside your outline. I believe the first place I got this idea from was Write Your Novel in 30 Days. I think that's the name of the book. I'll take a look at my bookshelf, and then I will put up a link to that online. It's a really good book, and I used it heavily when I was learning to plot. It helped me a lot, so I'll put up a link to that. You can take a look at it. But using a plot outline, you can play with the timeline of your story and see how the story changes when you take events and you move them around within the story. Make something happen later, or something happen sooner. Sometimes that can sort of change the whole feel of your story. Again, if you just go for it, you just write your first draft, and you decide, oh, you know, I wanted that person to die later or that person to die sooner, the only way to fix that is going to be a complete rewrite of your novel if you just go for it. But if you write a story outline, you can change that super easy before you've even done your first draft, right? So for me, it saves me so much time on the back end, right? when I go to do my second and third and my fourth draft, I don't have as much work to do because I already did all the outlining. I did all the plot work in the outline phase. And that's my suggestion to you, is do a plot outline before you just start writing. That's going to save you a lot of work on the back end. I'm William Miller. Thanks for watching. If you would like to get a super secret surprise, just click this button right down here that looks like this. Go ahead and click that and you're going to get a surprise. Click it, click it. Did you click it? Did you click it? Okay, here's your surprise. Ding! You made me happy. Thanks. Check out my site, noblevengeance.com, and you can pick up and read Nobleman. It's on Amazon. I hope you like it. Thanks for watching.